Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well. Good to see a few of you up and at it early this morning. Someone behind the Facebook veil, good morning to you, whoever that is. Hello, hello. Kevin's all the way from Florida. Morning, mate. Marcus in the house. Morning, Danny. And we've got Rob in the house too. Kev, mate, good morning. We haven't caught up for that coffee yet. It's on my radar. Soon. The year's flying by. Luke, mate, I hope you're well. Good to see you, folks. While everything's getting warmed up, we'll do the quick intros as we always do. Jason Witt's my name. Most of you know it already, though. But if you don't, say hello in the chat. Got the old frog in the throat there. Rose is in as well. Morning, Rose. Paul's here too. Tim's in. Got the full contingent. Great to see everyone here this morning. There we go. All right. Well, let's. Yeah, Kev, you're dead right. It's in my. It's in my court, isn't it? Time to organise the calendar. Today, I thought we might talk about something that is an interesting one when it comes to the world of property investing and creating your wealth. Most Aussies, put it in the chat. Most of you guys know this. Where do most Australians keep nearly all of their wealth? There's two places, but what's the majority? What's the number one place, folks? What's the number one asset that Aussies keep their wealth? And it's not a great place to keep it, to be honest, but you can improve it. Where do most people keep it? And what can we do about it? Yes, number two is super, Tim. And number one is the home. You're dead right. Your PPR. So let's talk about what I call the big weapons of wealth. Andy Fenton and I've talking about putting things together for us as investors, talking about how do we create wealth and kind of, there's lots of, let's call it techniques and tactics and bibs and bobs and detail in creating wealth and making things happen. However, if you compress it and bring it into 5 big weapons of wealth, 5 big wow, what are they, folks? What are the 5 big weapons of wealth? Well, the principal place of residence is a weapon of wealth. Why is it a weapon of wealth, folks? Put it in the chat for me if you know. Why is your principal place of residence a weapon of wealth if you use it properly? Well, the main reason it is a capital gains tax. Let's be accurate. CGT, capital gains tax free, folks. And how can you take advantage of a capital gains tax free asset? Well, that is what we're going to talk about today. What are the other 4 big weapons of wealth? Let me quickly talk to you guys about that. Well, at the moment in Australia, super is a weapon of wealth. Now, these two in retirement, it has some tax-free components as well. Who likes the idea of tax-free? I like the idea of tax-free. And in acquisition mode, sort of it is low, a low tax environment. Now, there's a limit to 1.9 million and so on, but it is a weapon of wealth, folks, a weapon of wealth. Most Aussies, at the very minimum, should understand how to maximize their value through these two. What's the problem, though? What is the problem with these two weapons of wealth for us as investors? The problem is when you improve them, principal place of residence, your super, it's a future promise of some benefits, but what happens now? By and large, there is no value to your cash flow now, your lifestyle now. And if we take away, like, I've got a nice home to live in, like, let's not put that in there. Like, direct income creation or wealth creation that you can access or easily access. And, if you buy a nice house, you're not buying and selling the damn thing every 5 minutes. We're going to talk about that in a second. Right. So that's a future. That's the future. What can we do now? Let's talk about 3 other weapons of wealth when it comes to the world of investing. And us as property investors or investors of any sort, to be honest, folks, what might it be? What do you guys think out there in the world of, now, this one's a crazy one, but reducing debt reduction. Not enough coffee yet in the debt reduction. Folks, it is a weapon of wealth. Why is it a weapon of wealth? Well, I can tell you this, and it could be one of the ones at the top. Debt reduction, business. If you're not in business and you're thinking about it, it can be an absolute awesome weapon of wealth. And last but not least, in investing. Now, that's some big terms, that's some big sort of overall ideas, thoughts, whatever it is. There's some more details in those, obviously, investing in property investment, etc. But today, I want to talk about your principal place of residence tax-free strategy, and how we can maximize it as we go along. Yeah. And yes, you're dead right, Tim. Anything that's sitting in cash is devaluing. Inflation is 4 or 5%, folks. It seems like it's going to be around for a little while. If you're not beating inflation, the value of what you own is degrading. It's going backwards, right? So you've got to at least beat inflation. Okay. Now, this is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the PPR upgrade strategy. Now, Tim put it there. I'm going to just talk you through the basic concept today of the principal place of residence upgrade strategy. And we'll do some detail and some data. So let's have a look at a little example. I'll talk you through because, what is it? Why is it worth, why is it worth considering? What can we do about it? How does it work, etc. Hey, morning, Aaron. Well, let's have a look at this. And I just put some arbitrary figures at the bottom, but let's have a look at what it might look like as we go. So let's say at age 30, you purchase your first house, or you own a house, or whatever it might be. Okay. Let's take a look at what might happen. Now, let's say it's worth something, and we have a starting point. It might go up in value. That's the point of it, right? And then you want your debts to go down. And normally we would have like a debt reduction strategy. And this is where there's a combo here of 2 strategies that I like, which is debt reduction and upgrading. Okay. So debt reduction, what normally happens, folks? What normally happens for debt reduction, right? It normally takes 30 years, right? Age 60. Okay. That's what normally would happen. You can't really see that, Orange, can you? All right. Normally what happen is it take 30 years. However, what part of this strategy is reducing it quicker. Okay. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Talk about 15 years. All right. So that's the kind of graph that we're looking at. What does that all mean, Jason? It looks good on paper, but let's explain it to me properly here. All right, here's the drill. So you have a principal place of residence that you own. You buy it most of the time because, it's a good place to live, and that's where you can afford. That's kind of the first starting point with our conversation today. And let's say, for example, let's say I'm going to use some numbers here, some rough numbers, so we can have a bit of a look at the idea, the example in action, folks. Let's take a look at this. All right. So principal place of residence, let's say we've got a $600,000 loan and an $800,000 property. Okay. I'm just putting this in here for capital growth information, so we can sort of see, how does this work? And I'll just make that a little bit bigger. I've put in there 6% capital growth, a little bit more than the market, and we've got a loan in here. The rest of these numbers don't really matter too much to us today for this example, but this is the starting point. We're at 30 years old. We've saved up a bit of cash. You've bought a property. You've got a loan of 600. Your property's worth 800. This is the starting point. Okay. And away we go. So, and it could be any age, by the way, folks. Just, adjust those numbers to suit the story for you. All right. So let's have a look at the trajectory of what might happen here. Now, let's go in. We've got 6% capital growth on our property. Make that a bit bigger. We've got, 15 years as our trajectory. So today, 800,000, 15 years, 1.9. Even if we wanted to be more conservative and put, 5% there, then that'd be fine too. So let's have a look. Our property in here goes from 800 to 1.9. That's pretty tidy. Pretty happy with that, right? So 1.9 million, 1.9 mil. Let's check in on the debt. Now, normally a debt would be, unless we've got some extra payments going on here by the look of it. But normally, if you didn't have any extra payments, let's just make that zero. Let's make that zero. Your debt's 400,000. So you're halfway through. Oh, you can't see that. All right, here we go. So you're halfway through 400,000. Okay. So there's a couple of things there. You could be, all right. That's pretty cool. You could do something. Or what I would prefer is for us to have a bit of a debt reduction plan, an acceleration plan to help with that as well. So if we go over here and we say, all right, what would it take for us to, let's say, reduce our debt a bit more, a bit faster when it comes to this loan? All right. So we go, okay, well, an extra payment. Let's put in $1,000 and let's see if that helps us. Down here, you can pay that off in 17 years, right? Okay, $1,000 a month. Let's go 1,200. About 16 years and 6. So, look, maybe 1,300. We can muck around with this number. 1,300. There we go. 15 years. Total interest payable over 15 years, 11 months. Probably call it 1,400 there. 1,400. Voila. There we go. So we could pay our debt down to pretty well zero. And then our value has gone up to 1.9 million. So what do we do now? What's the strategy here? Now, so you've got your debt at zero, which is good news. Zero debt. How's your cash flow now, folks? Pretty good, right? So your cash flow now, you've got some good earning potential, and that all depends on how fast you want to debt reduce. But, debt reduction is not the absolute in this strategy, by the way. It's a good complement to this strategy. You've got a house worth 1.9. What could you do, folks? There's two things you could do. Number one, often if the property, we call it the highest and best use, you could renovate and or reno or knock down and rebuild, right? So you could maximize the property's value in place. Maybe that suburb's gone very well. Maybe the block of land that you're on is a good size. Maybe, the house is now, you bought it when the house was 30 years old and now it's 45 years old. Maybe there's something that needs to happen. Maybe you can do that. So you could redraw some equity and renovate the property. Now, what I would do in that circumstance is, in the redraw, up to sort of 800 to $1 million. That's what I would do in that circumstance. So if you added $1 million in place to a property in a good location, what would that do to its value? You have to look around in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And this is where doing some research and understanding there's only a certain amount of elasticity. There's only a certain amount of flexibility certain suburbs will have, right? So if you added $1 million renovation to that property, would it take it from 2 million to 4 million? Like, would it do that? Would it be worth 3.5 million? That's the question, right? So if you added significant value to the property in place, is the surrounding suburb going to support that uplift? Okay. Is the surrounding, and if it's not, then my suggestion to you is that you sell and upgrade, folks. Upgrade. Now you take your 1.9. I'm just going to call it $2 million for round numbers' sake. You go get $1 million loan, or the maximum loan you can get, the maximum loan you can afford. You max the loan, folks. Max loan. Okay, max loan. Now, this is obviously, your broker will help you with the mathematics and all that sort of stuff. So let's just say now you're shopping for a $3 million property. 3 mil, folks. $3 million property at age 45. Nice upgrade. Probably going to be a nice something nice for to live in, right? So, okay. So stick with me because we've got a few more minutes to sort of bring this home, and it's a bit data heavy, but let's just do this, right? So let's go back to our calculator and let's update our numbers. Let's do this. All right, we've got, let's just call it a $3 million home. Yep. PPR loan is 1 million, right? And we're just doing rough numbers here, folks. Again, capital gain 6%. Okay, so we now own a $3 million home. What's it look like over the next 20 years, folks? Next 15 years. So this is $3 million today up here. I don't know what's going on there. But now from age 45 to 70, depending on your debt and your cash flows and stuff like that, what can we do? You now have between, let's say, the ages of 45 and 65, you've got the ability at 20 years to debt reduce. Now that's good debt reduce. Now let's go to age 70. Let's just go to age 65. At age 65, now it's difficult to believe these numbers, isn't it? Okay, and let's even go back and put 5%. You can put 5% there if you want. But this is where you've got it. This is the possibility. Let's just put 5% because it's difficult. What's that number down there, folks? Like, round that number up. Put it in the chat for me because I want someone to see the number. Let's do. We're at age 65. This is retirement age, by the way. What's that look like? What's that number over there? It'd be nice if it was linear and perfect every single time. But what's that number? Over there, year 20. Have a look over here. Put it in the chat for me. Can you see it? Yep, 8 million. 8 million. 8 million. So, what do you reckon, folks? Anyone like that idea? Give me a little yes in the chat. Now, even if that idea ends up at, I don't know, 3 million or 4 million, here's the drill. It is a weapon, an absolute weapon of wealth, your principal place of residence. So along the way, you would have used the equity to buy some investments. You could debt reduce your with the extra cash flow from your investment. There's all sorts of stuff we would have done along the way. So there's the principal place of residence upgrade strategy, folks. Starting out with an $800,000 property and ending up with a property worth $8 million. Hard to believe, right? Hard to believe. Anyway, it's on a spreadsheet, and I know for a fact many people have done it. And I see the rich and the wealthy doing it all the damn time. All the damn time. What do you think the billionaires buy a $100 million home for and then sell it 4 years later? What do you think they're doing? You know, they're not buying their forever homes. Folks, they are trading capital gains tax-free money because they can. And so should you, if it's part of your strategy, if it's part of your wealth plan. Anyway, there you go. You don't seem impressed, folks. Well, it's pretty difficult to impress you lot. All right, there you go. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. You could sell that tax-free, you know, roll that into other investments. Voila, away we go. Anyway, there you go. That's just one. That's just one. That's just one, folks, of the weapons of wealth. That's the strategy. That's the strategy. Okay, the mathematics, the nuts and bolts of the strategy. So then, you know, away we go. There you go. Anyway, PPR upgrade strategy done and dusted. Weapons of wealth, 5 of them. You know, if you can take advantage of all 5, then you're well on your way, folks. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. All right, that's it. I'm just rabbiting on now. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted today, folks. Good to have you hanging out with me today. Hopefully it was useful. Join me tomorrow for another one if you're up for it. Till then, folks, you guys take care. Have a good day. Bye for now.